tell you what I'm going to do here. I'm actually finishing a dissertation on stand-up comedy by women, and I'm also a performing stand-up myself. And to make sense of this picture for you, I wanted to find like an idealized picture of a mother and a daughter and like what mothering looks like. So I found this horrible hokey card, and I wanted to juxtapose it with Vicki Barbalak, who's one of the comedians that I'm talking about today, who I actually got to open for and tour for just a couple weeks ago. And here she is. You can't see it, but she's crimping one of her wigs on top of a wine bottle. And a lot of her set is about mothering and about this sort of like abject type of mothering. And we were in this bad hotel room off the coast of some small town near San Luis Obispo, and she's just primping this wig, and I just love the shot, and there's her popcorn behind it. So I just wanted to introduce that to you. I'm doing this right? Maybe I'll just do this.
So yeah, you can click the forward button.
Oh, this guy? Yeah, this guy's doing. Okay, so this is just what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you about my project background, my paper objective, and I'm looking at two comedians, Monique, who some of you may know for her Oscar win in Precious. She's a pretty famous stand-up comedian. That's where she started. And then I'll go into Vicki Barbalak and conclusions, and I guess questions will be later. So starting with Monique, I guess I'll read from my paper now. And I can't show you guys any clips because I don't have the time, and I'm paranoid about running out of time. So I'm just going to try to imitate, and I've seen these clips so many times because it's my dissertation, so hopefully it won't be too bad. So despite stand-up comedy's function as a platform for female performers to deviate from the essentialized roles and types that appear on television programs and films, women are routinely closed out of the commercial stand-up circuit, only to find that if they do penetrate such a sphere, they face yet another level of scrutiny, regulation of their material. The commercial stand-up circuit is loaded with patriarchal codes and performance modes. For women who perforate this circuit, they are required to perform certain identifiable material to their audience. As such, the topic of motherhood in American comedy as a reference is used by commercially successful comedians I explore, Monique and Vicki Barbalak. So I'm going to look at aggressive and more tactical means by which stand-up comedians, these two comedians I looked at, explode the category of the domestic woman or the mother as we see her reiterated in pop culture. Many female comedians have attracted attention and acclaim by playing to the popular perception of mother, using the citation to draw on a safe brand of humor and comedy that is translatable across many audiences. This paper will show that the performance of mother is both a way into the stand-up comedy economy through citation, and it's also a way of redirecting more rigid stereotypes so often recycled in dominant culture. As such, a thorough analysis of how she, mother, is evoked through language, gesture, and body showcases the way female comedians disregard a rigid category of mother and expose how conservative imaginings manufacture a semblance of nation. So my first chapter of my dissertation is all about mother as nation and how they sort of pervert this ideal mother. So there's Monique in One Night Stand, and I was going to show you a clip from here. She's the best. She's really fun. She's really great. So the material discussed on Monique's One Night Stand, filmed in Biloxi, Mississippi, ranges from dating, divorce, motherhood, and masturbation, and sex. Introducing herself with an affinity for Southern food, differentiating herself from the frail bitches who are easier to bend, Monique commands the audience's acknowledgement that her persona is impenetrable as this like big, grotesque woman. And she plays to that sort of like carnivalesque grotesque. She leads with her defiant acts as a black matriarch in a white neighborhood where she sticks out from the wealthy white neighbors, and consequently many farcical cultural misunderstandings occur. Though she is considered an outsider in the white community she lives in, Monique represents black culture as she feels pressure to play rap music loudly until the cops arrive. Shalon, Monique's son, is a sort of currency for Monique's acceptance into the community as she's absorbed by white culture. And according to Monique, her son talks white. So this is a big point of humor in her comedy, is imitating her son as a white kid, even though he's not white. Monique recounts a cliched parental day-to-day where she is forced to speak white in the context of school, showcasing her fluency in both worlds. In a humorous recreation of a conversation with Shalon's teacher, Monique postures a controlled whiteness. Monique performs attention for her audience, citing an urban black voice with short vowels and a white voice that is over-articulated, and a citation of what some might call like a valley girl accent. So I'm going to try to imitate Monique. I'm going to blow it, but here we go. So in her sort of white voice, she says, this is the teacher saying, Monique, and she does this weird thing where she says, Monique, and imitating white voice. It's really funny. We have a problem, and Monique, says to herself under her breath, well, what the fuck is the problem? And Monique then, back in white voice, answers her as, it says, what is the problem? So it's this funny sort of role-playing that she does in this exchange with the teacher. As Monique transitions between characters, the audience erupts in laughter, acknowledging the performance of a sort of white civility amidst the desire to communicate directly. Monique performs the white teacher in a high-pitched and stressful tone, exaggerating the pause and the elevation of tone at the end of each sentence. The teacher professes that Shalon refused to come in from recess and instead hit her in the face with a ball, overemphasizing the trauma. So it's like this big, exaggerated, traumatic thing. The mundane and seemingly inconsequential dialogue is made comedic as Monique loses power over her son, who has been brainwashed by the white kids. And this is like her paranoia and her anxiety, is that the white kids are brainwashing her son, Shalon. So to her son under her breath, Shalon, did you hit this bitch? Aside to the audience, now my kids know I'm an ass whooper. I'll whoop ass all day long. I will fuck my kids up. Interruption by audience applause. So they're like acknowledging this and rewarding this. As her son in white voice and responding to her question, so she's transitioning back to her son in white voice saying, yes, and I'm butchering it. It's really funny how she can transition so fluidly between the two. And then as herself, Shalon, when I get home, I'm going to whip your ass. And her son again in white voice says, yes, ma'am. Monique articulates her fear that her son is not responding to her physical threats. That's like the big problem for her, that he is not shaken by any sort of physical reprimanding. She worries about his continuous repetition of yes, ma'am. And with each scenario, she builds tension between this rift in communication. In Monique's imagining, the white culture has turned him against her and positioned her son to say things like, Monique says, these little white kids have taught him to do something to me. Monique's concern to secure reign over her household is indicative of the rift she experiences as a representative of black culture and being forced to play white or mother with a citation of her son yet again. She reveals the problem. The reason that her son is acting out is because he's supposedly hearing these voices. So these voices are telling him to do things. More tension builds in the imaginary. It's a very long sort of story that she goes into. More tension builds in the imaginary context, forcing Monique to fear for her life. In an ironic twist, she discovers that her son has been mimicking the character from the cartoon Rugrats. People know that? Angelica, which is it's the show. If you're not familiar, it's a satirical spin on the perspectives of white suburban toddlers and their overdoting parents. The ultimate opponent is Angelica, a 5-year-old notorious for her scheming, and as Monique discovers, she's the inspiration for Shalon's efforts to control and scare his mother. Like Shalon, Angelica tells her parents, both psychiatrists, that she has been compelled to behave badly because of the, quote, voices that she hears. So it is revealed that all of Monique's attempts to fit in amongst the white community are thwarted by her desire to control and dominate her white son. The climax of Monique's lengthy tirade on the experiences of parenting in an affluent white community comes down to her physical release, which I call the literal punchline, where she says, baby, I beat the shit, and she pauses, they locked me up, but fuck, I had to prove a point. So she's talking, like, the big reward for the audience is this moment where she actually does get to, out her son as a liar and beat the shit out of him. So it's sort of subversive that way. You could read it that way. Releasing the tension held together by the unknown voices motivating her child, the climax and invitation for laughter occurs at the physical release, the literal punchline of beating her son. Through a portrayal of motherhood as a series of miscommunications followed with physical reprimanding, Monique critiques more conservative parenting styles that refrain from direct action, further defining her persona as a mother. Her persona and position as a mother, Shalon plays off Monique's situation as an outsider to traverse both sides of the divide. Ultimately, Shalon's performance is detected, revealed, and cannot escape physical confrontation. So now I'm going to move on to Vicki Barbalock. This is a little bit shorter. I'm trying to get through everything. I hope you guys can keep up with my pacing here. Introduced by her title, America's Funniest Mom, which was a show on Nick at Night, actually, that Roseanne Barr hosted. Vicki is the winner of it. Vicky Barbalak exudes agency over the audience, over the system of regulation enforced through a notion of ideal citizenship and motherhood. The first element of Barbalak's act is the array of costuming and wigs that evokes laughter before her dialogue even begins. This is one of her tamer wigs. Normally she has one that sits way up top. And after we did the tour together, I made her wear it out to Gay Bar. It was really fun. She's very campy, really great. In fact, has a really great following in the queer community. So let's see. She strikes the audience with a packaged hyper-femininity, something that has drawn a large following from the queer community. I just said that. Any political sentiment Barbalak holds is destigmatized by her delivery, a brash sort of growl that might sound more like a working-class male comedian. The disconnect between her body and her persona is transgressive because Barbalak apathetically cites the way that she disregards proper citizenship. Through her campy style, she does not display a threat. So people are very comfortable in the sort of comedy that she does. Vicky uses tone and voice to distance her body from the category of mother, playing it childlike, repulsive, and essentialistic. Referencing the popular stick figures that adhere to the window of a car. Do people know these things that people drive by, and they're usually on SUVs? 3 minutes. These stick figures that, they'll say like Mom, Dad, George, Bobby, Sue. Okay, so she hates those. She has a passion about hating this. She identifies the peculiarity of labeling the occupants as a heterosexual, quote, family. Vicky questions this tactic to protect and/or differentiate the inanimate machine, which is the car, as an extension of the American family by way of stickered stick figures. So this is her quote, and this is the only one I'm doing from her. I don't get these moms today with the stick families on their SUVs. How did you get to that point in your life where you're buying that stick family? I'm still married. And she's imitating, and she does this great long thing where she's, eek, I should be able to ram that, huh? Imitating in a baby voice. I'm the mommy, pointing to each image, each person. That's me. There's my husband, he's so hot. My little girl, my little boy, doggy, soccer ball. You know? Ew, yuck, who cares? I've been married 3 times. I want a daddy. She minds each cross out. Bloop, crossed out. Another daddy. Bloop, crossed out. Another daddy with a bong. Bah. A kid, that's the sound you make when you take a bong hit, I guess. A kid taking every cent out of my purse. So that's her take on that. The citation is about as American as one can be. The stick figures are a symbol of the normative nuclear family with coded gender, a skirt for mom, and legs for dad. If you see these things, they actually have this. It's horrible. As they are attached or stuck on the vehicle that promotes a myth of mobility, which I get into my dissertation, this construct is accessorized by things families must do and buy: soccer balls, equipment, and pets. Marking her familial and marital legacy, Barbalak points to the artificiality of the conservative American family, suggesting how temporary the sticker it truly is, as she imprints upon her changing family, as opposed to removing or erasing them altogether. She just crosses them out. Okay, and this is the big whopping conclusion. And this is the wine bottle I was telling you about that she was putting her conservative wig on. Let's see. Stand-up comedy by women acknowledges the boundaries and borders of belonging as a female, a citizen, and as an abject to the system of patriarchy. Though this acknowledgement is made strange and unstable, this distance evoked between content, performance, and spectator is crucial for what it reveals, a, quote, demonstration of the character function of particular socio-historical relations. That's a quote from Ellen Diamond. Political sentiments, powerful positions on race, class, and gender are evoked through sarcasm and an awareness of skirting as they call to question the structure of belonging as female, as the relationship of mother is intrinsically linked to the creation of nation. Removing the power behind the symbol of mother as a fixed definition, these performers reset the power dynamic between gender and identity on stage. In terms of belonging as an American, these performances share how the rendering of mother is ultimately a negotiation that informs her status as a citizen, and through critique, a revolutionary imagining of mother and citizenship is attained. These tamperings with representation are recalled before a live audience during national tours, though with each audience and political context their meanings shift. Of course, we know that about live performance, which is awesome. With each shift in each performance, these comedians explode the myth of a fixed reality or a firm representation of what female performers, be them mothers or not, can do on stage. And that's all.